These are the 5 must-use Town Hall 14 attacks that you will want to use. Let's start off with Super Dragons, one of the best troops in Clash of Clans. Now, the best way to use Super Dragons is by either using a Blizzard or a Super Minion cloned Blimp, or Slammer in this case. The Slammer was chosen because the Town Hall is fairly close to the outside. But if you are using a Super Minion cloned Blimp or Slammer, then you want to make sure that you're using the Rage spell with the invisibility and clone on the Super Minions. This can clear a lot of buildings really quickly. So do not underestimate this version, as it is incredibly powerful to create pathing from just that very beginning, or even using it towards the end or middle of the attack. In this case, he uses an Inferno Dragon to create the funnel, though it can really be any troop. And then other than that, you are going to send in your Super Dragons, creating a funnel with your heroes to move everything into the base. This is already going to be incredibly good. You've already got spells to support your Super Dragons, though they don't really need much, they do benefit from it. You should use a Grand Warden ability around the core in order to push yourself through the base, and it should be relatively easy for you to drop that Rage spell in the core, which will push everything in. You'll also have the use of other spells such as invisibility, freeze spells, in order to continue to provide a lot of support. Though I would highly recommend using the invisibility spell a little bit later for anything like your Royal Champion, because Super Dragons don't benefit from it. But they will benefit from the freeze spells, so try to benefit or use them on those buildings. Other than that, the attacker here doesn't even use the Royal Champion until the very, very end of the attack. So this is a really strong attack that you may want to try out. It is incredibly good, and it will allow you to get 3 stars. Now, another good option, depending on the base, is going to be the use of a Pekka Smash. As an example here, starting off with the use of a Flame Flinger. This is fairly easy to do and can provide you with a lot of really good value, mainly using the Flame Flinger to remove the Town Hall. One of the major defenses that you do want to prevent it from dealing a lot of damage. But the other side should be done with your Grand Warden Walk. So you want to make sure that you're doing a short Grand Warden Walk so you can move into the base while the Flame Flinger takes down the Town Hall. So while that is the case in this case, you just want to then use the Barbarian King with Witches in order to help create the funnel. It basically simulates what a siege barrack would be. But overall, when you send in your Pekkas and your Super Wizards, you want to make sure that you are still dealing with the enemy CC, but you also want to make sure that you're using the Grand Warden ability early as your Pekkas and Super Wizards move in. In this case, the attacker is dealing with single Inferno and a multi-Inferno, but that isn't usually super difficult to deal with as long as what you're able to do is get to it as soon as possible, which should be a major thing to do. Other than this, you just want to continue to use your jump spells to go across the base. You don't want to make sure that they're hindering anything, so you want to make sure that you're doing so. In this case, you should also try to use the skeleton spells to distract for the Royal Champion. If you bring in the use of Valkyries from your Flame Flinger, that can also help you out a lot, as it can allow you to easily remove buildings from the outside, but also when they move inside, they can clear some other structures or at least weaken them. But it will allow you to easily get through, and since this is a smash attack, you might have just enough to get through in terms of cleanup. And yes, the Super Bowlers, incredibly strong, and again, this is a box base. If you watched my Town Hall 13 one, then you would have known that I showed this exact same army, roughly, with the use against a base like this, at Town Hall 13 at least. So basically, the attacker here is using a Grand Warden Walk on one side with a Flame Flinger on the other. Rather than going straight through the middle of the base, the attacker is going in from the side. This allows him to remove the Infernos, the Eagle, and the Scatter Shots with just using the jump spells, and he doesn't have to use any more jumps or super wall breakers. You can use the King and of course maybe a couple and a couple witches in order to help kind of clear a sort of funnel right behind the flame flinger. But you just want to make sure that you are then sending in your super bowlers. They are basically the stars of this army. You're not using Yetis, you're just using super bowlers. As you push in, you should use a rage spell early on, a jump spell to connect them to get into the base, and a Grand Warden ability. This gives you a lot of momentum to drive yourself in. You do want to make sure that what you're doing though is allowing yourself to get over to the town hall, deal with that fairly easily, and of course you can use a freeze spell, which does at least provide a little bit of support as you continue to drive through. The rage spells are really where the super bowlers shine. They can easily melt any building underneath a rage spell, so you should try to consider using it. Healers will be able to keep your super bowlers alive, and realistically, they should easily be able to get through. You may even still have the flame flinger still alive if that is exactly possible, but you should also have your royal champion for the back end of the base for any other remaining defenses. This should be a really easy army, and what I would consider to be one of the better ground armies currently, especially in the entire game, but that is going to be up to you. But this should get you some very easy 3 stars. And we all know that Lavaloon is a fairly difficult army to use. However, one of the easier armies that I find to be a little bit better is the Zap Lavaloon. Overall, the main thing that you want to start with is by using the lightning spells and earthquake to remove something like an Inferno Tower or an Expo in this case. But the main thing is to expand on that with your heroes. This will give you enough momentum to drive through with the Lavaloon portion. The main goal though is just to make sure that you are able to enter into a given area. If there is a hole in the base, that's even better. But the main priority should be to try and remove the town hall with your heroes, if possible, and of course, try to lure out the enemy CC. Probably one of the biggest things that you do want to try and deal with. In a good situation, you should always try to bring at least 2 poison spells. One should be used in order to remove the enemy headhunters, but the other one should be used to remove the lava pups if you are dealing with the traditional Lava Hound Headhunter CC. Other than this though, you do want to try and use your Royal Champion to expand on the value of your heroes, of your King and Queen. This will then give you even more momentum to continue to drive through the base. It makes it easier for you to then start your Lalo. It's typically easy to look at a Lalo in the sense of this is one air defense, and then you're just going to be moving across the base as such. You should have one group of balloons going in, that's your first river, then you might have a second one to move in. This will then create a sort of push through the base. You'll then have one solid group going in with the use of the Stone Slammer if you decide on bringing it. But that's just an easy way of putting it. You can bring in the use of the Grand Warden ability early on if you don't have to worry about there being the Town Hall still up. But other than that, you do want to use haste spells to get to key buildings such as the Infernos, the Expos, the scatter shots, etc. Those are just things that you do want to try and prioritize. If you are dealing with an enemy hero like the Royal Champion, you do need to be very careful of it, and you do want to try and bring something to take care of the enemy hero, like headhunters. So try to bring more of those if possible. But your cleanup is going to be done by using minions and lava pups, which should allow you to get a very easy 3-star, but it really depends exactly on how skilled you are with your spells. Hybrid is another fantastic option, especially here at Town Hall 14. The main thing here in terms of this is you want to prioritize exactly focusing on removing the CEC and the Town Hall with your Queen Charge. That should always be one of the biggest things that you deal with early on. Other than that, you just want to make sure that what you're able to do for the rest of your attack is by making sure that you are creating a funnel from the inside the base with the Queen Charge. That is one of the most important things, which is why the attacker chose this long corridor. It not only had the Town Hall and access to the enemy CC troops, but it allowed the attacker here to get more funneling done. So what the attacker is able to do is once the CC has been removed, the attacker can then go ahead and deploy the king and the siege barrack on the other side of the base, which now allows you to have very easy pathing to move in. This is the reason to why hybrid is very effective. It allows you to easily control everything and work themselves through. You do want to make sure that you're using an early heal spell. You always want to use an early heal spell. It does not matter what it is, you just use an early heal spell at the beginning. You can then go ahead and use your Grand Warden ability as you start to move in for the core of the base. This will allow you to easily get through the rest of it, or at least through the core of the base, and you may have the Barbarian King go in for something like the Eagle Artillery. You should then use a heal spell towards the core of the base with your second heal towards the end of it, which gives you enough life and power to move through the rest of it. Other than that, hybrid is a really simple army. I mentioned this as well in on the Town Hall 13 one. It is a very simple army that can easily get you 3 stars, as long as you just understand the pathing and the spell, Grand Warden ability spell. You can even use a rage spell if you still have one up. Other than that, you should be able to easily get a 3-star with this attack strategy. Now, if you do have a Town Hall 12 or Town Hall 13 account, or you are a Town Hall 12 or Town Hall 13, I would highly advise checking out either my Town Hall 12 video on the exact same topic or Town Hall 13 on the exact same topic. They're both incredibly good, and they give you some more insight for your specific Town Hall level on the best attack strategies, especially as CWL is here. I'll be catching you in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.